The skill we will be explaining and demonstrating today is the overhand throw. It should be first introduced to prep level students. This is because it is a movement that has specific observable patterns that need to be broken down into a series of components so that early learners can become familiar with the basic elements of the skill to then be able to perform at a higher level, such as at competitive sports. From a teacher's perspective, it is important to observe the students' movements and identify which components of the overhand throw that they have mastered and which need further practice. Having the ability to observe students performing the overhand throw allows teachers to identify performance errors and provide appropriate feedback in order for further improvement. This gives young children an opportunity to practice, refine and develop these basic skills by making sure they become confident and competent achievers or learners in this area of development. Arm throw is fundamental to students' learning of movement, as it is a building block for developing more complex skills used in games and play. The throwing movement involves releasing an object forcefully with the hands, as it is important that children develop object control for future sport participation from an early age. Introducing this skill to younger students allows them to develop and refine the movement. This is important because early learners need to develop confidence and competence in their ability to produce a successful overhand throw or any type of fundamental motor skill. The overhand throw can be used in sports such as baseball, softball, netball, basketball and cricket, and has the same pattern used to throw javelin, to serve tennis and volleyball, and to perform an overhand clear in badminton.
Alright, so the first step of the overhand throw is to make sure that the body position is standing side on to the direction that they want to throw. They want to have their feet positioned approximately shoulder width apart, with the opposite foot to the throwing arm stepping forward. Position the throwing arm in a downwards and backwards arc, with the non-throwing arm aimed at the target to help improve the balance during the action. The ball gripped with the fingers like rabbit ears or crocodile teeth. You're going to transfer all the weight to the back leg. Bend the elbow as your throwing arm moves back behind your head. As you release, hips rotate forward. Throwing arm follows through across the body when released.
When children are learning the overhand throw, it is important to provide and accommodate for different levels of fitness and skill abilities. Teachers need to acknowledge that all children develop and progress as learners at varying speeds and stages. This is why it is paramount that teachers modify and change activities or equipment accordingly without causing any injustice or discrimination. Ways this can be done is by introducing the overhand throw using bigger and softer throwing objects, such as softballs or beanbags. Reasons for this include: they are easier to hold and have control over. They don't bounce around the learning area if dropped or thrown mistakenly. Using a bigger ball, such as a basketball or netball, makes it easier to be caught by fellow players when beginning the skill. Once the students have grasped the concept of the skill and have become confident in their own ability to perform the overhand throw, smaller, more sport-like objects, such as a tennis ball, can be introduced. Depending on the aim and focus of the lesson, the target can be modified accordingly also, either making it bigger or smaller. Kids need to be challenged, but they also need to feel rewarded and successful in what they are doing. I'll just stay in position.
So when teaching the overhand throw, it's recommended that students are positioned in a straight line, either in front of a wall which they can throw the ball at, or stand opposite another student who can catch the ball and return the throw. This eliminates off-task time and incorporates some game set skills. It's suggested that the teacher, in this case, would stand behind and to the side of the student so that they can make sure that their action is all okay. It allows them to give the feedback, and it's a safe position because there's going to be no balls being thrown. It's important that when students are first learning a skill that they're familiar with the correct grip and how to hold the ball, and make sure that they understand why we use our fingers and not our palm. Just holding your fingers there, Josh, for me. Yes, and now go through the action that we have explained earlier.
Okay, so we are standing side on to our target.
Yep.
With our feet shoulder width apart.
Yes.
We transfer our throwing arm back with a slight bend. With our target hand pointing towards our target, we transfer our weight back through.
That's amazing, Joss.
Thank
You're
you.
a very quick
Thank
learner, aren't
you. Yes.
Common errors associated with young learners while learning the overhand throw. These include failure to step on the opposite leg to the throwing arm, the inability to release the ball at correct time, loss of balance while throwing, not standing side on to the target, and the throwing arm remaining stationary behind or beside the body. Okay, so we're going to teach Joss the main skill components of the overhand throw here, and then give you some information on how to correct these main skill components if the student isn't performing them correctly. So the first step, Joss, is to stand side onto the target. Perfect. If the student is throwing and not standing side onto the target, a couple of ways that you can help fix this is draw outlines, trace around their feet when you position them and then they stand in the correct position, or have a line or a marker or something on the ground and their toes can touch that, which positions them in the sidewards position. Now I'm going to need you to, with your eyes, look at where you want to throw. And if the child isn't looking where they're throwing, something we can do is provide a target that they need to throw over, and then the concentration is on that, or draw an area on a wall, something like that, where now they are actually looking at it. Now when you're throwing, you're going to be stepping forward with the opposite foot to your throwing arm, so notice you're a right-hander, so when you throw, you'll be stepping forward with your left leg. Ways that we can help this is to practice and inform the child of rocking back and transferring their weight backwards, which then leaves them no option but to actually step forward with their opposite leg. Something will happen maybe when they're throwing is it's in an inhibited backswing, so we want to make sure that the arm is coming pretty much fully extended, just a slight bend in the elbow. If the child, for example, is throwing like this and not getting right back, we can have them stand, make a T with their body, and then throw from that position where their arm is already extended. Now when you're throwing, you're going to have, when the transfer of weight comes across, your hips will turn, and then your shoulders to turn in a sequence. Yep, perfect. If the sequential hip to shoulder rotation isn't occurring, we can have the student kneel down on one of their legs, so when they're throwing, it really encourages the full torso rotation. After you've thrown the ball, Joss, you're going to ensure that your throwing arm will come through down to the side of your body. Yep, perfect. To help this, again, we can go down on the one knee, and so once they're throwing, and we really encourage to come through, and you can tell them to try and touch the ground or grab something out of their pocket if they're standing up, put a handkerchief or something in there for them to get, and really encourage that full follow through of the arm. For some further resources, you can go to sportplan.net, healthpromotion.com.au. YouTube has a heap of demo videos and showing you how to teach children and action. And if you're lucky enough to be in EEH 216 at Deakin, you can go to the additional PE resources, and there's a heap of information on all kinds of fundamental motor skills.